one of the YouTube channels.
Yeah, on the Freedom Broadcasting YouTube channel and maybe later on our YouTube channels.
And I'll put that link in here. That's the Freedom Broadcasting Network channel. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So how this works, everybody, is welcome. We are recording it, just we don't share it widely, but we have it on a Freedom Broadcasting Media YouTube channel for people who want to watch it later. It's an open Q&A. We don't have anything particular we want to talk about. So if you've got questions, just put your hand up or just start talking. Most of the time we keep people muted just to reduce background noise. So you'll have to unmute yourself if you want to talk. Over to you, Cass.
Also over to anyone that wants to ask a question. Sometimes we go for a full hour. Sometimes it's very, very short. If people, some people just log on to listen to questions, and that's absolutely fine. It just does mean that if nobody asks any questions, well, then we don't have much to say.
There's someone else just joining. And I will also ask you, Cass, you're planning at some stage to work with Carl Liebold from Voice of Freedom to do a similar sort of Q&A or open chat on his, is it a nightly or is it a Monday night, or what's his?
He sort of does every night, so I'm not sure what night it will be. He is in Adelaide or Mount Gambier or somewhere at the moment. So once he gets back to Queensland, we'll line up a time. So it could be later this week or it might be the week after, but before Christmas, we'll line up a time to have a good chat on Carl's channel, and that will be very interactive because he normally has at least 50 to 100 people watching. So I'm sure there'll be lots of questions there. So keep an eye out for that.
And will you be going to Mount Gambier? I know you were talking about it. No. Okay.
No, they just didn't. I don't know what even it was about. It seemed to be some big rally thing, but I didn't hear anything about it, so I wasn't going to spend my time travelling. It's very hard to get to that place. You've got to fly to Adelaide or somewhere else and drive for 5 or 6 hours. I wasn't going to go until they confirmed that there was a reasonable amount of people going. So no, I'm here in my lovely office in Canberra. I haven't been here for a while.
So I think the next live session you're doing is in Toowoomba in February or something. I have to dig that date out, but we're winding down at Christmas. So for those who...
There's a Ainsley banter next week, isn't there?
Oh, yes. Yep. So that's an online one, Monday the 16th. So it's the week. Is it next week? I've lost track of time. Maybe it's the week after, 16th Monday. It's Ainsley's Bullion and Banter. They have a quarterly chat and sometimes they invite us along. So Cass will be on that. The link's on the website. So for those of you who've just jumped in a bit late, this is an open Q&A session. Any questions you've got, Cass is happy to answer them, and sometimes I answer. Just stick your hand up or just start talking. Oh, Kat, you'll have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Good. Hi, everyone. I feel like I've just walked into a room. That's how it feels. Yeah, I just came across the website for Freedom Financial Solutions, and I just kind of clicked and gone, yeah, cool, I'll attend this group session. Didn't realize it was a group session. And I guess my question is, yeah, lots of interesting things happening for 2025. But my question is around super, because I feel like basically I want to move it to gold and silver. And how do I do that?
Well, you're in the right place for that, Kat. So you've clicked on the right link at the right time. But Mary Jane might want to have a chat about this. I can jump in as well to assist, but that's our speciality. And Mary Jane in particular runs the SMSF setup division. So Mary Jane?
Yeah, so Kat, I'll just put my email in the box, in the chat box. Mm-hmm. So if you're welcome to share your email in the chat box, but if you don't want to do it for privacy reasons, email me and I'll follow up with comprehensive information. And in this group chat, we tend to not go into too much specifics because privacy reasons. But what I will say is a self-managed super fund is the structure that we set up, a legal structure. And attached to that, we create a bank account for you, or you approve it. And then we request the rollover of your super funds into your SMSF bank account, and then you can go shopping to buy your investments. So that's as simple as it is. It does require a tax return every year. So typically we find that the cost effectiveness tipping point for a self-managed super fund to cover the accounting and the audit and those ATO charges a bit, and there's attached fees, which will be in the email I send you, and it's on our website. The tipping point is around the $150,000 $200,000 mark in super. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily have. You do have that. Okay, all right, good. For those who don't,
I look young.
Yeah, good. For those who don't have that much yet, you can have up to 6 members in a self-managed super fund. So what we suggest is talk to like-minded friends or family if they want to join. And for example, older people who've got kids as well, it's a great way to build family wealth, because typically younger people don't have enough to make a self-managed super fund cost effective. So if parents have a family one where the kids join, like I do and Cass used to have, it's a really good way to give your kids a helping hand and build the total volume. The rule of thumb is the more money you have in a self-managed super fund, the better value it is.
I just believe that things are going to change in the positive in 2025 and negative in 2026, hence why I'm making all my plans with everything. I'm extremely switched on for my age. I'm 36, millennial. And thank you for having me. And I'll email through to you, Mary Jane, to speak more.
Yeah, and I'll follow up. And then you can book in if you want. If you've got follow-up questions, you can book in a private one-on-one. That information will be in the email as well. And that's a free session with me to help go through any questions you've got.
And Cass, my hometown's Canberra.
Oh, are you here now?
No, I'm in Melbourne.
All right.
My hometown for 53 years was Canberra, but I no longer call Canberra home.
I wouldn't either.
I have escaped to the Gold Coast, and I get dragged back here, kicking and screaming when I really have to be here. It's an evil place. I arrive
such a bubble.
It's horrible.
Oh,
It's horrible.
Don't worry, we are on the same wavelength. I'm so glad to connect with people who are highly aware and in the financial space, because that is such a niche to have both, right?
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Great what you're both doing. See, I'm intuitive. I'm like, I already feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where we started. But I've been an accountant for, I counted it this morning, 35 years. I've been in the SMSF space for, I started it before my eldest son was born, so more than 26 years in the SMSF space. And that all got very boring, towards just before COVID. I'm like, I'm sick of being an accountant. But then COVID hit and I started stepping up on stages at the rallies, talking about, what we talked about at rallies.
Dodge that bullet.
But then I just occasionally threw out there, make sure you get gold. And then that's where Freedom Financial started. Everybody said, well, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, oh, okay. This is a niche. People do want to know about this. And there's not that I can find any other financial professionals out there speaking about this matter. So
why would they?
Yeah, because most of them, I had to step down as a financial planner, which I was for 20 plus years, because financial planners just put all your money into the share market. And I just went, I can't do that anymore because I know what's coming. And so I stepped down from a lot of my roles, and then basically the niche became SMSF so people could buy gold and silver. And that's what Mary Jane and I have been doing since then. And we help thousands of clients all over Australia.
Yeah, see, I know I'm young, and the reason I care about my super is obviously I'm not going to be able to touch it at 65 or whatever it is. But the thing is, I want to make sure that it is there at the end. So we're going to go through a bit of a change and transition, but it's about being aware and putting yourself in the best position. My background is marketing, corporate marketing for 14 years. Stopped doing that, and I've been entrepreneurial since March. And one of my niche things that I love talking about is these golden drops with pain and inflammation and helping people's health.
Yeah, a lot of us have taken a really different tangent. I sort of do a lot of work. Well, I'm not qualified in any health areas, but it's an avid interest of mine, and we always look into sharing health news on the side of all our financial news, because at the end of the day, I believe, and I've said this all along, is that wealth is not about money. Wealth is actually about health, family, community, balance,
Mm-hmm.
and a bit of money on the side so that you can live. But it's not all about money. And that's just become more and more apparent over the COVID years, that money is not the be all and end all, because it could crash and be taken off you in the blink of an eye.
Well, it's about the rat race, right? So the rat race that people are in this lack mindset. So I've been diving into manifesting as well, and it's been really fascinating over the years around the abundance mindset, because when you're in an abundance mindset, everything comes to you and everything's effortless in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of that myself, and I've taught all my kids this, and they've all done extremely well because they follow my footsteps. So anyway, we can talk about this all day, but we better get back on to financial issues. Anyone else got any questions?
Cat. There's another cat, unless.
Yeah, and I'm trying to
Yes.
figure out how if that's me or
No,
if that
it's
is
me.
actually another cat, because I'm like,
Another
oh,
cat.
There's
Yes.
another cat, I think.
oh, okay, good. I'm glad. I was trying to figure out. I
Yep.
was in two browsers.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Firstly, yeah, to the other cat, definitely you're with the right mob. I also felt very drawn to them because of the message that they put out, and it aligns with my ideals around freedom and self-sovereignty and all that kind of stuff. So I opened an SMSF with them in July this year, started at the start of the financial year, wrapped everything up. It was quite streamlined and quick and easy. I do have less than 100K, so kind of below that threshold at which some say that the fees may not be worth it, but that's not why we're doing it. We're doing it to secure our financial freedom. And yeah, and so far, I mean, I've way outperformed, what is it now, November or December? And I've already added probably 15-20% on top of it by moving out of stocks and getting away from the industry super funds and moving to gold, silver and other things. So yeah, just wanted to say that. I recommend
Thank
these
you.
guys. I think you're in the right place. My question is from my mother. So she's 69, obviously retired, divorced from my father, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And so in doing so, took out all of her super because they just had to share everything, and that's fine. And I'm noticing she's got, let's just say 100K in the bank. She gets her interest. She gets these massive tax bills at the end of the year. And because of what I've learned about SMSF, I'm like, surely she can put that. Well, she is working a little bit at the moment. So she has a tiny little industry fund just so that that super can come in. So I guess my questions are, is there a way that she can open an SMSF at 69 at her age? And also, can she join mine?
Yes to both. And it would be cheaper if she joined yours, cheaper and easier and quicker if she joined yours.
Yep.
And then she
And
would be
how-
able to get
Yeah.
a large amount. Mary Jane might have more up-to-date information than me. I haven't been keeping up to date lately, but I think about 330,000 she would be able to get in to super.
At least, yeah.
In like 1 year, or like
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, and it's actually really
Okay.
important. Did you say she was 69?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, so really important she does this quickly, because last time I checked, I think there's a cutoff age of 70. Well, they might have increased it to 75, but if it's 70, she'd want to get into this fairly quickly.
Okay. So
And it'll
how
be
would we
great for
do
you
that?
as well. It'll be cost effective for you as well. So, I mean,
For sure.
yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah, so I guess if she then joined mine, we would each have a percentage of, like, we would share the investment strategy. So whatever I currently have, she would want to agree with that and do the same as me. Any interest that, say there's like some of that is cash in the Macquarie Bank, the interest that I receive will be taxed, but hers won't be. So does it get treated, we get treated separately, do we?
Mary Jane, do you want to follow that one up?
Yeah, so that will, yes. So what happens is there's one bank account, all the assets are owned 100% by the SMSF, but in the accounting back end, there are two separate accounts. If she's in pension mode and you're in accumulation mode, it's highly complex. And the broad brush is that, yes, everything is calculated independently in the back end. If you want to know more about that, email me, or actually I'll put the link in here. So you're actually onboarded with us as an ongoing client. What's the name of your SMSF?
The Lions Den.
Oh, the Lions Den. Yes. Hi. So set up SMSF Technical Tax Consult with Peter. I've put it in the comments here. Peter is our lead SMSF accountant, and she'll go through exactly in your circumstances how it would look. So if you want to know that, that's not a problem at all. The link to the booking is in the chat, and it's SMSF Technical Tax Consult Peter.
Okay, and that's in the the page where you book all the different meetings.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, because
Cool. Interesting.
it's too complex to sort of go, and I don't know your specific details or your mother's. So that's what Peter will go through with you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and someone's asked, or Lisa's asked a related question. So if you're going to add your mum, then it's 600 plus GST, so 660 to add a member. And if you want to add 3 children, it's 660 per child. Now, depending on the age and their situation, if they don't have a rollover and they're really sort of younger children, then email me and we can see if we can do you a bulk deal. But if they're a child that's got that requires the full service, then it's 660 per person to add. And the reason is that the adding member is like 80% of the work of setting it up in the first instance, which is why I always, when I talk to people about setting it up, I say, do you have anyone else that you want to add now? Because it costs you less, and it certainly takes less work for everybody, and it's quicker. So if you have under 18-year-old children, sorry, just this is related to Lisa's question, if they're under 18, they won't be a director of the company trustee until they turn 18. But once they're 18, we just upgrade them. Kat, you had another question?
So given that it's a bit more complicated with me and my mum, if we were to be together, would the auditing and everything then just be slightly more?
No, that's the great thing about adding members is that there's a set price for what's done. The auditor may be just a little bit more because there might be pension strategies involved, but the accounting fee stays the same no matter how many the members.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Kat, was that all?
I was just going to comment while we're chatting about this on adding kids, because I think Mary Jane knows it's one of my favourite topics. I've always said it is beneficial to have your kids in the SMSF. It teaches them a little bit about finance and money if they're interested. It certainly taught my kids a lot about that sort of thing when they were in my fund. There was a lot of tax benefits at the time that I could utilise by having the kids in there, by putting in some contributions and getting co-contributions and lots of that. However, once they became young adults, I just found them to be absolute pain in the arse. Once they were over 18, they then now needed to sign every set of financial statements. And 2 of my kids just signed it. One just no matter what I did, even DocuSign, mate, just click the buttons. And it was so hard to get him to sign anything. And then one of them, the smart ass one, he'd be like, well, why are you doing this? And why is this? And why is that? Why are you investing in this? And I want to do this. In the end, I actually removed all my kids from my super fund because I just went, this is too hard. For such a small balance, it just wasn't worth the trouble. And Mary Jane will laugh at this. One of my sons, the smart ass son, has decided he wants to do crypto and he wants to come back into my super fund now.
Does he?
Yeah. And I think I'll let him because he hasn't got enough to make it worth him setting up his own, but then now he's going to come back into mine. So there are pros and cons of having your kids in. Just, think about whether they're easygoing kids and they will just sign things and it's easier for you to manage them. That's just my 2 bobs on that.
And 1 second addition to that is what my kid was a bit younger, and so not overly interested. But when I showed them, and I don't have it right. Oh, here we go. When I actually let them, and this is fake, but this is what I'm talking about. When I actually let them hold that, they were really interested. And then I put it back in the safe. Lisa had a question earlier, which was, she said she just wanted to
Sorry,
find.
Mary Jane, can I? Hello, sorry, it's Lisa here. Sorry, can I just check with so going back to the whole children in the fund, and thanks for those tips actually, because you don't always think about it. But is it easy to remove? Once they're in, is it easy to remove them out?
Yes, but then the cost will be about the same. Actually, the cost can be a little bit more because they have to wind up a balance and wind them out. So don't just put them in and out for the sake of it. Really make a decision that you want them in for good.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
But Lisa's other question was she wanted to find out more about Ainsley Wealth and how they operate with crypto and bullion. She believes that they hold it all for us, and she's had discussions with them, but as we use them a lot, she thought she'd ask. So I think you're talking about Ainsley Bullion, and they have Ainsley Crypto. It's same company but separate divisions. In terms of holding it for you, that's your choice, and it really is best to talk to Ainsley themselves, because some of their products, they can just explain it better than we can. In terms of the bullion, there's like 5 different ways you can buy the bullion. You can go to them and pick it up and store it yourself at home or in a hole in the ground or somewhere that's secure. You can go to them and pick it up and put it in a vault like the Brisbane Reserve Vault or the Melbourne Vault or another private vault. You can then, or you can hold it with their vault that they have, which is the Ainsley Vault. They will hold it either in allocated or unallocated. So they're slightly different. One allocated, you have to pay for the storage. Unallocated, you don't. And the difference is that allocated, they have your name on a particular bar. Unallocated is there's a bar of silver, gold or silver that's yours somewhere. If you ever go and pick it up, they'll just grab the first one off the shelf and give it to you. It's not actually got your name on it. It's anyone they choose. The last version is a tokenized blockchain version, which is still backed 100% by the bullion, but it's designed as a product that you can easily buy or sell between gold, silver, and crypto, and bypass the banks. So that's as much as we'll probably get into. So if you want to know more about their products, that's so they can hold it for you or they can not hold it for you. With the crypto, they can hold the cold wallet for you in their vault. They will also let you take it away if you prefer, but they do a lot of not grilling as much, but interview. They interview new crypto clients to make sure that there's not a scammer behind you. They have found that there's a lot of scams in this area, and they want to make sure that people are protected. They do their due diligence to make sure that you really, have a bit of a handle on what they're doing, on what you're doing. And we say if you are putting your toe in the water of crypto and you don't know what you're doing, start with Ainsley. They do charge a little premium, like a commission on top of the normal rates, but then they will really educate you or help, as much as you want to be educated, they'll help you and hold your hand and keep you safe. So I hope that's answered your question. Yeah.
Anyone else got another question?
Yes, please. Thank you for everything so far. I have got quite a lot of questions. I did send an email to Peter, but I said I'd come today because so we are, I'm basically, having learned about property and self-managed super fund, I'm interested in just really knowing how to move forward, because I'm going to be selling a rental property that's in my name, which would free up money to be able to put into the self-managed super fund. My husband was thinking to do the same, so that we could potentially buy a bit of land, a small piece of land to put on a tiny house and maybe do some Airbnb-ing, because we want to find the best possible way to take advantage of having picked up that if you buy some property or you buy some land, that then when you're retired, I think it was, that you don't pay tax. You're not going to pay tax on the income that you get from. So just wanted to talk about that. So there are a couple of things. So first of all, I've understood that I can put, because we haven't put anything in our super for 3 years now. So I've understood that first of all, we could each put in 120,000 for maximum of 3 years, 360,000 each, non-concessional into Macquarie.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm getting to, so at the end of this month, it's possible I might already be doing that. So I just want to make sure that I'm going to be doing that correctly. If I do that, do I literally just go from my personal account into the self-managed super fund? I do a straight transfer for the whole amount, and do I just label it in the description? I'm just nervous about doing it because it's it's a big amount. So I just want to make sure, do I just put non-concessional contribution, or is there something special I would have to have from you?
No, you just contribute that, and then the accounting team. So you've already got an SMSF with us, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
So the accounting team will just account for that at the end of the year in the way that they do. So just checking, you don't look like you're over 65.
No, no, 50.
Okay, good. And you've never used this non-concessional contribution limit before? You've never put in a big lump sum into super?
No, only from employers.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No, you simply contribute that money, and then we will look after it from the accounting side of things.
All right. So just put that in the description, non-concessional.
Yeah.
What I always recommend, Heidi, though, you're doing the right thing by reaching out to Peter. I would book in a consult with her just to go through, because 99.9% of the time it's all fine, except the 0.001% like me where it's not. So I always get it's better to just double check before you make the contributions with Peter that all your cap levels are all good, and then go ahead and do it.
Okay. All right. And would I be better off talking to her about, I've talked to our regular accountant, because again, we would top it up with some, because we've both been self-employed or not employed, as the case may be, for the last couple of years. So for the concessional contributions, how to figure out we kind of want to figure out the limit, what that would be for our personal circumstances right now before the end of the tax year. So that we know kind of that we can be under our cap, but then that's going to give us a maximum amount, how much we could invest into property now this year.
Exactly. So who is your accountant at the moment, your SMSF accountant with us?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Peter.
Oh, it is Peter. Well, then, yeah. So definitely book in a time now as soon as you can with her. The link and the description was in the chat box that I put in there earlier. If you can see, can you scroll up? It says SMSF Technical Tax Consult Peter, and there's a link there. Just book in a time with her to go through all those.
All right. Okay, will do. And then you also, we're trying to think through how much we put in now. So my husband is self-employed handyman kind of thing. So that's why we're thinking this give him an extra form of income now. If we got a tiny house on a bit of land, and that is bought with a self-managed super fund, and then supposing we build up the money a bit that we can get a second tiny house, is it, in theory, we're just thinking theoretically, if he reaches 60 and there is enough money coming in from that tiny house, or Airbnb as an Airbnb little business, for him to retire, could he then retire, and then we would obviously be getting more because we won't be paying any tax on that income? And does that not paying tax, will that also apply if it is an Airbnb thing? I know there's state tax.
So let me just recap that. So you're going to put this money into the SMSF. You're going to use that to buy land and put some tiny homes on it and rent them out.
Yeah.
Yes, the income in the SMSF will be tax-free once you're over 60.
Oh, automatically over 60.
Over,
No.
60, over 60.
And meet the conditions of retirement by being in pension mode.
Oh, okay. So you do have to meet do we both have to meet if we buy this, that's the thing too, that if he contributes some and I contribute some, and with that we both combined, we buy land, then would we both have to be in pension mode to?
So it's a proportional approach, which Mary Jane referred to earlier. So if one of you turns 60, that proportion will be tax-free. And if the other one's under 60, their proportion won't be tax-free.
Oh, right.
When you're both over 60, and it's over 60 and retired. So, you've left a job, you're not working anymore, then the income will all be tax-free.
Okay. But then you do have to take some from, was that right? You have to take a small amount or something from the super every year?
Yes. And our accountants do help you with that. You can check in how much you need to take. It's on the ATO website. It's a simple percentage of your account. But our accountants can also help you determine exactly how much you need to take out. Strangely enough, some people take it out and put it straight back in. It's just a matter of you have to take it out to meet that pension requirement. But I just did want to check, are you planning to borrow to build or anything like that?
Not potentially not, no.
Okay. It's a lot easier if you don't. I was just going to say, if you are going to borrow, it gets far more complicated, and you would want to book a one-on-one consult with me to discuss that further.
Right. Okay.
The only comment I would make that tweaked my interest is you said you used the words and then potentially have a nice little business running through Airbnb. Technically, an SMSF is not supposed to conduct a business, and there has been discussion in the ATO about the concept of Airbnbs. Is it a business or is it rental? And I think they were luckily considered that it's still rental properties. So all I'm saying is don't just avoid the use of the word business.
Oh, okay.
So you're not. So for example, it's a very interesting grey area. You could, if in the share, if you had shares as an example, you can buy and sell shares. Okay, as an investment, you can go, I'm going to buy that and I'll sell that, but you can't do day trading because then it would be considered a business. So, I mean, where does the line draw? So just don't use the word business. You've invested in an Airbnb and you're receiving rental income. Just like a landlord.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, I'm still a little bit confused about the over 60 bit. So, I mean, like, for example,
you turn 60 and meet conditions of retirement, which means you have to have left a job. Doesn't mean you can't ever work again, but let's say you quit, I'm going on holidays for 2 weeks, and then you go on board now, and then you can start working again. It's the intention to retire.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is you must be put into pension mode.
Right.
So you can be 60 and go, I've retired, but not be in pension mode, but you wouldn't meet those conditions. So at 60, you are considered that you have left a job.
Yeah.
And then your accountant has put you into pension mode.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that would really be for both of us. Otherwise, we've got
No. So you can do that separately. And again, as Cass was explaining, you will be treated separately in the back end in the highly complex accounting system that keeps track of it all.
Yeah.
Be done proportionally.
Okay. All right.
According to your contributions that you've put in. One's got 60, one's got 40. The 40% might be in pension mode. Those tax concessions are all treated separately and calculated separately to the way yours are.
And if
Peter will go through in detail, in specific detail relating to you, it'll make more sense then.
It will. And in theory, are you allowed to, if I'm a writer and supposing I'm just getting royalties, I would still be able to, if I'm not actually in a job, because, like you get writers who are retired, but it's not their job. That's okay, isn't it?
You're into your personal income?
No, just like if you're a writer, and then by the time you're 60, you've published your books, and you say, right,
yeah, okay. As in,
But
That's fine. That's not considered that's
Okay.
not considered working.
that's good to know. That's really good to know. Okay. All right. And also you had somewhere on a flyer or on a thing talk to us about if you're thinking about investing in property. So I was just wondering, so this is our idea of land and a tiny house getting some rental income, but do you have any other, like you've got Ainsley Bullion, but do you have any other things that we should be looking at because we're in a position where we're thinking, yeah, we should have some of our
Where are you looking at buying?
Well, we are in Victoria, so we just, yeah, we don't know if it's possible to buy or invest in property somewhere else.
Oh
which-
yeah, you can invest anywhere you want to. I mean, any state you want to. You don't have to be in Victoria.
But then you need to have a buyer's agent and you need to have other things which we don't really know about. So that's why I'm wondering if there are any companies you recommend or any partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have partners that will assist you buy land, predominantly in Queensland is our buyer's agency.
Oh yeah.
But they really specialise in just your stock standard investment property, like $500,000 to $600,000 property in a good investment suburb. They don't go into rural land and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. So it would just be, yes, to rent. It would just be that they buy something for you, they take care of the property so that it can be rented out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. It would be great to have, yeah, it would be great to have those details then. Shall I ask for that when I, or when
Mary Jane, could you pop
Yeah,
Jess's email address into the chat?
Yep.
Thank you.
So, and just also, let me just find a property investment. You can also book a free consult with her. The same link that was up in there earlier. You just select the property investment link, and I'm just now finding the email address. This is Jessica, and you would have seen reference to that probably in one of the first emails I sent you.
So,
Right down the bottom. Oh, hang on, that email's an old email, isn't it? What's her WPS Queensland? Is that still active, Cass?
Yeah, I believe that's her current one. No, do you want me to check?
It was PAA. Yeah, that's the one on the website, but I just realised it looks different to one of the other ones.
She comes up with all three for me, but the WPS Queensland should be good.
Okay. So that's Jessica. She's lovely, and you can see her on the website as well. What I was just going to draw your attention to with tiny homes, and it has been the discussion in the ATO about tiny homes. And one of the articles I read recently was they haven't made any rulings about it necessarily, but one of the points was to, wherever you're getting your land, to make sure you understand the council rules, regulations and restrictions before you go ahead, because the ATO might say, oh yeah, you can do whatever you like, but if the council says you can't, you can't. And it is a very much a moving space at the moment. There is a Tiny Homes Association Australia you might want to look at getting in touch with, just to find out what they know. They do a lot of lobbying with government, councils. So, for example, some councils like the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast, and there is no way in God's green earth you'll get a tiny home anywhere. They won't allow it. They'll move you off.
Right.
There are some areas in northern New South Wales that are like that, but some are friendly. So it is an area that's worth doing quite a bit of research before you start spending your money. The only final thing I'd mention is Airbnb. It all looks nice on paper, all the rent that you might get, but the people that make the most money are the cleaners. So if you've got someone going in there for 2 nights, you might make a couple of $100, but you'll be spending $80 on cleaning, depending on where you are. So now, just to go one step further, let's say it's the land's near where you live, and you go, well, I'll do the cleaning. If it's all run through the SMSF, you won't be able to pay yourself to do the cleaning, and you shouldn't actually even let the accountant know that you're doing the cleaning, because there would be potential conflict of personal benefit or / not benefit, but
Okay. That's what he was going to do. Yeah, that's what he was going to do, potentially as part of the job. Okay, because
Yeah,
that
so
was
you
Right.
can't be paid in any way, shape, or form, or even be perceived to have any direct involvement, like it's a business or as a job, with using your money for an SMSF. Even well, so Cass, this is a good question. Let's say they've both retired, and you can transfer land in specie from the SMSF into your personal name after you've retired, can you?
Transfer land.
Yeah.
No, you can't
Right.
buy an asset off yourself unless it's a commercial property. So no.
No. Okay. So yes, a lot to think about there. But look, there's no need to rush. Start with doing a bit of research.
Okay, and yeah, pros and cons with, I mean, Victoria government versus investing in property interstate. I mean, obviously Jessica's, she's interstate, so
Yeah. So Jessica can definitely talk to you about all of this. And but yeah, just from my perspective, I just need to be a little bit I guess a little bit careful, because I used to be an absolute property advocate. For the last 30 years, or mainly 20 years, I've been helping clients buy investment properties. And I've handed that over to Jessica, mainly because I don't really believe in it anymore.
oh really? Okay. Oh
So that's why I have to be careful, because I'm sort of talking Jessica out of a job here.
Yeah.
But I mean, as you said, with in Victoria and the land tax and all of those issues, it's like I had 10 properties in my portfolio, and in the end I sold them all.
Did you?
Sold them all, and
Ah,
just invested into gold and silver. What they're doing with properties, with just putting interest rates up, and rates and land taxes and insurances, I believe the property market is in for an almighty crash.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of people tuning onto these talks that we give every week, and 95% of our clients are just all invested in gold and silver.
That's it. Yeah, that I'm glad you said that too, because that was another question that I was thinking about. Is it worth it? Because I feel like, yeah, it might go up for another year, but then 2026 potentially it could all go, and then we don't know if the next pandemic's going to come along, and then Airbnbs could also be wiped off the table for another couple of years, couldn't they?
And it's interesting, one of the great charts that Ainsley shares in their seminars that we do with them, and I was just trying to find it, I was sure I published it in one of our newsletter articles. It shows that over a 20-year period, that the outperforming asset class is gold.
Mm.
And that outstrips everything, despite the fact there's no yield, like there's no rental return, there's no dividends. It's just you hold it like a pet rock, and it's just gone up, outstripping even Australian property prices, which includes rent, way outstripping shares, including the dividends. Silver was just under Australian property prices, but I think since that chart I saw, silver's bumped up. It's probably around the same. But as Cass mentioned, all the insurances and all the requirements that governments are putting on, oh, you have to upgrade you've got to have double glazed windows now. Oh, that's an expense. You've got to have an annual this, that, and the other. I've got one investment property in Canberra, and I'm on the ground floor. It's of a 3-floor building. I had to sign a statutory declaration saying that as we are on the ground floor, we are therefore not required to do any testing or guarantee on the ceiling insulation and upgrade it for the overall sort of insulation of the building, because we're on the ground floor, and put it in. I mean, the amount of paperwork. But if I'd been on a higher floor, what would it have cost me? I don't know. So it's just gone mad, and you can see where it's pushing everybody, that only a select few of corporations actually own property and the rest of us just rent. So that's where Cass does sort of say, if you are considering a plan B, that
Yeah.
rural land might be the one area of property that you might be worth considering.
Rural land.
But this is very much plan B mentality, which is when the
Yeah.
zombies come.
Yeah.
And the robot
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah, so I can just jump in there. So what I was saying about that I sold all my investment properties, they were just standard investment properties, you know, your $500,000 house in a average suburb. That's always what I recommended over the past 20 years. Absolutely sold all of those and bought rural land but when I'm saying rural land, I'm not necessarily recommending as an investment that's going to go up in value. I'm recommending it as a bug out plan.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if everything falls apart very, very rapidly, what we really need in life is food, water, and air, and community. And you can get all that by setting up community on a rural property.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very true. That's very true. It's a good thought. Yeah. Yeah.
So which comes back to your original plan of rather than buying a stock standard investment property in an average suburb, buying a rural block and putting some tiny homes on it. That's in your super, and technically in your super, you can't go live in that or stay in that. But hey, if the world falls apart, who's going to be checking who's living there?
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. And government bonds also, that's just not a thing anymore, is it?
No. And yeah, I mean, once again, I was a financial planner for 20 years and that was always one of our standard investments. But like, God, why would you want to invest money that's anything to do with government backing?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
So,
know.
yeah. And I mean, we're 55. So, yeah, we might be better off actually just going all gold and silver all the way and sitting on it for 10 years.
And that's certainly a common approach by many of our clients is they have their, a lot of people like property because it's an Australian thing, but they're aware of where the market's going, what's going. So they articulate, yeah, we're just going to park the money here in bullion for a little while and wait for the crash, and then we'll go in and clean up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anne's asking, do I have to pay tax on personal inheritance?
Personal inheritance? No. No, there's no death taxes in Australia at this stage.
But then, for example, if you use that money to buy something, like one of our clients bought gold and silver, and then you sell some of that, that is a capital gain in your personal name. So
Yeah.
what some of our clients have done when they receive inheritances, if they've got an SMSF, they talk to Peter and get the calculation going how much they can shove into the SMSF, and then they buy the assets that way, so that by the time, and a lot of these people are obviously nearing retirement age, so they just have a few years to wait until they can start selling little bits off to live on, and then not get slugged with capital gains tax. Oh, Pete's trying to raise his hand to speak. No, it's not showing. Unmute yourself and just talk.
Hello. Yeah, no, I was just trying to get that to work. Yeah, so very good. Thanks for all your comments, and look, I was just curious, taking all that in. Some other people that I know, I've previously spoken to you on the phone, Mary Jane, and some other people that I know that have gone and joined with you guys there at Freedom Financial Solutions have been in a similar situation to me, which is going to evoke these two questions that I'm going to ask you. The first one was that they got some notification recently from the ATO that told them that they have to diversify in other assets outside of gold and silver by the start of the next financial year. So I'm not sure if I haven't heard you speak about that before, and I was just wondering if there's any truth in that.
Yeah, hang on a sec, Pete. Did you say they're existing clients of ours?
Yeah, that's right.
And they've received that letter from the ATO?
I believe so.
Absolutely not, as far as Mary Jane can comment in a moment, but absolutely not. It's a fundamental part of the law is that the tax department can't tell you what to invest in. You could invest 100% of your money in the most dodgiest thing and lose it all, and it's none of the tax officer's business.
So exactly what I said to them. I
Yeah,
said,
so I
how
think
do
they're
they
making that up.
how do they get to decide what you choose to be your preferential form
Yeah,
of
exactly.
super investment if you don't feel comfortable in going into crypto or bonds or the share market because we're paranoid about the share market or whatever? Then
Exactly.
why they have the authority to tell you?
What they might be referring to is they might be a little bit confused about the whole process. They might have been told by their auditor, so we do the SMSF accounting and financial statements, and then we have an external auditor who double checks it. The auditor might have said, hey, you're invested, too much in gold and silver. You need to change your investment strategy. And what that is a piece of paper that we help clients prepare. We can send them a draft of it, and then they have to physically do it themselves, where they say, yep, no, we met as directors and our investment strategy is 90% gold and silver, signed trustee of fund. Bit more complicated than that. It's a 2 to 3 page document, but it's a template. They fill it in and sign it, and then the auditor goes, great.
Right.
So I think they're confused. The ATO has never, ever, to my knowledge, sent out a letter like that. It's more just the auditor probably saying, hey, your investments don't match your investment strategy document.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, it could be that could be the case, right?
And that's it. They just need to change that document so that it matches. That's it.
So the strategy needs to match the investment.
Yep.
So it's no worries to
It's
have
no worries.
100% gold and silver.
No worries at all.
And so they can do that. That's what they got now. But
No
then they were
worries at all.
told by somebody.
Yeah, somebody, anybody, somewhere, some person.
Well, so there's two things. One is they're already diversified because they will have something in the bank. So they've got 2 asset classes, and if they've got gold and silver, well, that's 3. So that's diversified. But the second thing, I'd just say, if they did get a letter that purported to be from the ATO, it might not be from the ATO, it might be a scam, and it might be linked to, you need to diversify. Here, click on this link, go to crypto or something.
Yeah.
So if they have something like that, then they should tell them to send it into their accountant or me to just check it out.
Yeah, sure. Look, Cass could be right with what she said. They might have got confused, and it might have been their auditor that told them that, and they might have just said that to me without getting the correct, pronunciation of the correct professional person. So basically, it's you can have whatever asset class and have 100% of that particular form of investment going without any issues, right? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, and so. The second thing was that with my own personal circumstances, I've just so I had a meeting with you a few months ago, Mary Jane, and in about 4 weeks ago, I converted all of my super into cash. Particularly with the looming US elections, and I was just getting a little bit nervous about that. Unfortunately, the share market almost instantly triggered a rise after President-elect Donald Trump voted into administration. So essentially, I missed all that upside, but that was a risk I was okay to take. It's still sitting in cash, and I'm still good to go. And the other issue that I had that I wanted to raise with you guys was just about my current superannuation holdings is with Q Super. I live in Queensland and was an ex-health government health employee, and so subsequently the same people that told me about the other asset classes said to me that it took months for the conversion of the Q Super into this Financial Freedom Solutions self-managed super fund. And I was just wondering, is that still the case, or is that something that has happened, but it's been resolved, and you now got a more streamlined approach to how you can achieve that transition?
It depends on the client and the situation with Q Super. So in your case, you've got it in cash. Our process is very streamlined now. It's entirely in Q Super's hands. We chase them. We've actually had some really quick results from Q Super, and it's faster than we could actually believe. And what that was that particular client had contacted Q Super in advance and just paved the way, made sure there were no hiccups. The delays are often to do with ID verification. Sometimes people things are mismatching in their outgoing super fund to what is on the documentation, which is why at the beginning of the process we get you to call your outgoing super fund and ask a series of dot point questions on page 9 of our frequently asked questions. That's designed to iron out all those things. Having said that, it still takes a minimum 1 week, more like 2 to 3 weeks, getting it out of any super fund.
Yeah.
We put all the paperwork in, and then after a week we get on the phone and we call them.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we uncover this, that, and the other. Most of the time it's pretty straightforward, but between 1 to 4 weeks. The big blowouts, especially this time last year and the year before, the big blowouts was because I think everyone and their dog decided to set up a self-managed super fund at the same time. So while we had an egg in the snake, the egg moved through to the outgoing super funds, and they just simply couldn't handle it. And then and also they've got to get that money, those digits on the screen, they've got to get it. And sometimes they don't have the ready cash to do it, especially with big amounts like I'm expecting you've got from memory. So rule of thumb is it's much quicker now because there's still a big pipe. What do you call it? A pipe. There's a big pipeline, but there's not a big egg in it anymore. It's flowing smoothly. But at the beginning, please call your outgoing super fund, and just on page 9, there's a series of dot point questions. Ask those questions of your super fund to make sure that there's no potential delay causing matters.
Yeah, sure, Mary Jane. Okay, got it. And so just wrapping up, if you were to have all of your self-managed super fund collectively within bullion, the form of bullion, how do you then use that to pay for the fees that you guys charge and the other fees?
So that's where I said that you'll never have 100% in bullion, because technically you're supposed to have a bit of cash in the SMSF bank account.
Right.
The ATO likes that. I mean, you can have a zero balance, but then you've got the question of every month you've got to put more money into it to pay for it. So it's a time-wasting exercise. So we recommend keeping a couple of $1,000s in the bank account to start with. If you're still making employer contributions or employers making contributions, that's topping it up. And then if you're holding it in bullion, so the option is you keep a couple of $1,000s in there to cover the fees for a couple of years, or you just keep the minimum in there for 1 year, put it all in bullion, then the next year you sell an ounce of bullion, put that money back into the bank, and that covers the next couple of years.
I see.
Yeah, so that's up to you.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, that's a good way of looking at it. Okay, understood. All right, that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, no worries. Now we're actually on 1:30, but there is a little question in the chat here. This is Heidi. The SMSF cash management account is 2.75%. The attached accelerator account that we also open for you now is 4.65% return. So that's you've said Macquarie Personal gives you 5%. Well, 4.65 is pretty close to it. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It doesn't, there's no lock-in term or anything. So Heidi, just double check your Macquarie account. Last year we didn't automatically open the accelerator account for clients unless they asked, but we've started just doing it automatically now because it takes everybody less time. So if you don't have a Macquarie accelerator account attached to your cash management account, email me and I will get that organised.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Actually,
Yeah.
Heidi, what's the name of your SMSF again? I can quickly look now.
Oh, thank you. Golden Lakshmi Super Fund.
Oh, yeah, no, I think you were just before we started doing it automatically. So expect an email from Macquarie. Oh, hang on, why can't I? Oh, your case is slightly different. I'll have to follow up with an email on this one. Normally we just click, and it sends it to you, but for some reason there is no authority to do that. So I'll have to contact the bank to find out what they need. And you might have to sign another bit of paper. Sorry.
No, that's fine. No, that would be great though. Thank you.
No worries, I'll do that. All right, Cass, have you got any last words?
No, that was it took an hour again. Normally when we start and there's only 1 or 2 people, we think, oh, it'll only be a few minutes, and then invariably we go for the hour. So that's always good and always different questions. So always worth for anyone that just logged on to listen. That's absolutely fine. If you've got no questions whatsoever, that's great. Log on anyway, because you might learn something else.
Bye.
All right, see you all. Bye.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Mm. The heck?